In addition to changing the doc type validator because of browser differences and the need to test against them, you may also want to add multiple browsers to Dreamweaver. This is a really important thing to do to test your work in more than one web browser, because unfortunately, your web page design may not look exactly the same on every computer that views your page. That's because computer systems are different, the way they display fonts are different, and browsers are different. Over the years, HTML has evolved, as you just saw in that list of validator options. And web browsers have evolved as well, but they haven't always kept up perfectly with the latest technologies, and they haven't always agreed with each other about how to display them. So Internet Explorer and Firefox and Safari and Opera and many of the other common web browsers don't always agree 100% on how things should be displayed on the web. And for that reason, it's really important that you preview your pages in more than one web browser to at least get a sense of how it's going to look to different users. If you're a professional web designer, you might want to have as many as half a dozen different browsers, even in older versions of those browsers, to really be able to test and make sure your work looks good. If you're not as concerned, or if you know that you have a very high-end audience, then you can probably get away with just the latest version of Internet Explorer, Firefox, and if you can, testing your work in Safari on a Macintosh is the minimum you should probably do. Because that's such a common thing to do, Dreamweaver makes it easy to add additional web browsers to the preview option in Dreamweaver. And you do that by coming to this Preview and Browser category in the Preferences and clicking on the plus sign at the top of the screen. So I'm going to add Firefox to Dreamweaver here. First, you type a name, and you can use any nickname you might want. Now you want to browse to find that program. Now you do have to have the browser on your hard drive to associate it with Dreamweaver, but most of these browsers you can download for free off the internet. Firefox is certainly one of those. You want to select the actual program, so make sure if it's in a folder like Mozilla Firefox that you go into the folder and you find the icon for the program itself. Open and select that. Now you have the choice to make it your primary or your secondary browser. That just means that when you use the shortcut key to preview, whatever browser you've indicated as your primary browser is the first one that will launch. Of course, you can always choose to preview in multiple browsers by selecting them one after another from the list. So when I click OK, now you see Firefox has been added to Internet Explorer. If you ever want to remove one, just hit the minus sign and it will be deleted. And now when I click OK, you'll see under the preview menu, I have both Firefox and Internet Explorer available for previewing. There's also an option here I want to show you called Device Central. That lets you preview your work as it might be displayed on a cell phone. So yes, let's go ahead and save our changes. You always have to save your page before you can preview. And now you're going to see a special browser built into Dreamweaver that helps you get a sense of what your page may look like when it's displayed on a variety of different kinds of handsets. So here you see the simple device set. You can click to select different devices within this list, or down here, and notice this is a little cut off on my monitor. You probably can see the whole dialog on your screen. But you can actually try different models of different brand cell phones. And by double-clicking, you can install the device profile and actually see what your page will look like in each of those devices. So if you're designing a site that you know you want to attract an audience of people using wireless devices, this can be a very useful feature to make sure your pages look good in a variety of different handheld devices. And as you'll see here, they do look quite different in these handheld devices than they do in Dreamweaver. That's another reason why CSS can be so helpful. You can actually create different style sheets for different target displays. So you can have one style sheet designed for the screen, one designed for printing pages, and still another for mobile devices. When you're done with this, you can always simply quit the Device Central. And again, remember, you can add as many different web browsers as you want to this list. And you can go directly to that list of options and preferences by choosing to edit the browser list directly from that preview menu. And that concludes our quick look at the interface in Dreamweaver. I hope that helps you better understand some of the options you have and some of the places you'll find commonly used items. I hope you also, as you get more comfortable with the program, will take a little time along the way to set the preferences to what you prefer and to change the layout to better suit your needs. One last tip along those lines, you can actually save a workspace layout. Once you've changed things to get them the way you like, you can actually choose New Workspace, give the layout a name, click OK, and notice this is now added to the list of options here. Many designers actually create multiple separate layouts. Name each one something specific. So for example, if you're working actively in the CSS on your page, you might want to save a certain layout optimized for the CSS options. If you're working on a dynamic site, you might want to save a layout that has those features available. And by saving a collection of these, you can easily switch the program around to meet your needs as you're working.